Welcome in to another Running with the Timberwolves, I should say, podcast on the Believe Sports Network. My name is Gabe Anderson, and I'm joined, as always, by Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
Man, we're doing great. We're doing great. Even though the NBA is kind of being weird with their suspensions, that's kind of wild to me. But, I like to see them at full strength. Let's beat them. Let's sweep them at full strength.
I agree. So we'll get into that in a second. But before we get going, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment as well. Let us know, do you think that Jamal Murray should have been suspended for Game 3? Let us know in the comments. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or whatever you're listening on, give us a 5-star rating and follow the podcast as well. So let's start right there since you mentioned it. A lot to get to today. A lot to get to on today's show. Do you think Jamal Murray should have been suspended for Game 3?
I mean, for sure. Like, I don't want him to be because, I don't care. Like, he was just being petty and childish, and it's not like I don't know. But, what if that happens in a regular game? Like, now the precedent is set that it's just a fine. Like, there's no suspension. Like, that is ludicrous that someone can throw something on the court right underneath where players are actively playing and they just don't think it matters. Like, that's crazy. If a fan did that, they're kicked out forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even though, to be fair, it was a free throw, so more of a controlled environment, but still, I mean,
No, it
you
wasn't.
throw.
No.
Oh, wasn't? Oh.
No, it was active play. Like, Karl Anthony Towns got the ball off of a rebound. The thing slides in. He lands, almost steps on it, and then finishes the layup in traffic. Like, there was 100%. Like, it was an active play. And there's probably 6 or 7 guys right around, or maybe 4 or 5 guys right around it. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
And like the guy on Twitter just posted when it flashed by, he was wiling out the entire time too. Like, he was out of control, Jamal Murray.
And then to have the audacity to not even talk to press afterwards and just walk off like a little baby. I mean,
second time in a row.
Yeah, second time in a row that he's done that. I think that he is going to get booed relentlessly. I think it's going to be like when Josh Giddey was in town during his allegations. He's going to get booed every time he touches the ball. I think in Minnesota, it's going to be tough for him. And I don't think he's issued a statement. Of course, it's come out that he got a $100,000 fine, which would be huge for me, but nothing for a player making his kind of money. Yeah, I mean, what if Karl Anthony Towns or Ant steps on it and twists their ankle? Like, that's just completely.
I mean, Karl Anthony, it hit Karl Anthony Towns' heel. Like, while he was planting, like, he very well could have done that.
Yeah. And like Chris says, Mike Malone should have been tossed too. I believe that as well. If not tossed, at least a technical. Because he got right up into the ref's face. Man, and I mentioned this in the chat while we were talking. Who would ever want to be an NBA ref? Because no matter what call you make, someone's going to be pissed at it.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, to a degree, of course, but you can't be mad at people being pissed here and there. It's not that bad. It's got good longevity. I mean, those guys seem to never leave. Like, once you get in there, you can be terrible and they'll keep you riding. I don't know. It's a weird job, I'll tell you that.
It would be a weird job. And getting into the Wolves a little bit, I think the officiating has been in their favor so far. I mean, obviously they didn't get the tech calls, but I think that the style of officiating for the first 2 games has lended great to the Wolves' style of play. Because, I mean, and we'll get into the Game 2 now. The Wolves, particularly in the first half, they put up a masterclass of defense. I think that was the best half of defense I've ever seen. If not an NBA team, a Timberwolves team play. I mean, that was amazing.
Yeah, for sure, Timberwolves. Yeah, it might be NBA team ever. It was stifling. And the thing is there's different styles of defense. Like if you go back to the Pistons and stuff, they were, pretty big and good around the rim, stuff like that. But that's not really what you need right now. So like nowadays, the offenses is you need guys who can hound guys on the perimeter, and we have the perfect defense for that right now. Kevin Garnett actually had an amazing tweet, and I wish I thought about it and I could pull it up, but he had something that was to the effect of the Timberwolves are playing defense in a way that Golden State Warriors played offense, a couple years back.
Yeah.
And it's like changing the way the game is being looked at and making defense, like sexy again. It's pretty cool. I mean, it was staggering the type of back-to-back defensive possessions we were putting together, like multiple tipped balls, like Denver not being able to get into anything. Like they are completely shook, and I don't know if they have an answer.
I agree. And some stats that I found, just the comparison. I know it's only 2 games, but crazy stats here. Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, a combined in 2 games, a combined 46 for 74 from the field, 62%, 9 for 20 from 3, 45. Murray and Jokic, a combined 25 for 70, 35%, and 4 for 19 from 3, 21%. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about how the series is going so far.
And what's saving us is that those guys are playing so well, especially Edwards consistently, like him being consistently giving you 25 plus, because there's a lot of guys on our team that really aren't stepping up yet we haven't played that great offensively at all. To be honest, I mean, last game we had 3 starters that all combined gave us 15 total points.
Right.
I mean, that's unacceptable, really. Like I get it. They're playing hard defense, but we're going to need more than that if we want to keep playing what we're doing. And then even last game, the first game in this series, I mean, McDaniels had 0. Gobert, did what he did. Conley stepped up, but we need guys to be a little more consistent because we can't just rely on Cat and Edwards completely.
Yeah, and I will say there are times to complain about Jaden McDaniels, particularly throughout the season. I think these first 2 games aren't the time to do that, just because of how good he was defensively. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker, too. I mean, thank you so much, Utah. Utah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where he came from. Thank you so much, Utah, for giving him us in the D'Lo trade, because he has just been an absolute blessing to play that type of defense and to shoot with the 3-pointers with that kind of efficiency.
That's
I mean, it is unbelievable. And talk about rising to an occasion. I mean, what did he sign in the offseason? A 2-year, like $9 million contract? And we're getting that kind of defense off of him. Those are the bargains. And also Naz Reid's contract at all. If you're going to have 3 guys making max contracts, you got to have guys on bargain deals playing that contribute. And look no further than Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Yeah. Naz is pretty happy with his deal right now. I'm glad he got paid a little, but yeah, I mean, you have to make those deals. And I don't want to be down on McDaniels. Like, it's great that he's playing good defense, but let's be honest. He's 2 for 14. That's terrible. Like, I know we all want to cheer for our team and everyone wants to give good vibes to McDaniels because he is working his butt off there, but you got to be better than 2 for 14. I mean, Nickeil Alexander-Walker gave us 14 points. Like, that's huge. Like, we need that. So even if he can give us a little bit, we'll take it. We need him to step up because the road to the championship isn't going to get easier. Like, Boston isn't going to be easier if we get them.
Right.
And we're not going to be able to have starters play 30 minutes and give us zeros.
I agree, but I'm just celebrating what we have now.
Yes, I'm on cloud 9.
Now, another interesting stat that I found, the Nuggets this season, so I think we know the formula for being the Nuggets. They are 0-10 in the regular season and in the playoffs when they score under 100 points. 4 of those games were against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And another stat that I found as well, let me see if I can find it in my notes here. When the Wolves beat the Nuggets, average margin of victory, and this has actually helped a lot. It makes it look a lot better for the Nuggets because of the 7-point win. But in the 4 games we beat the Nuggets this year, the average margin of victory is 16.5 points. So I mean, we've almost had the Nuggets number this year.
Yeah, I don't think they want to see us. Like, when everyone says we match up great with Denver, what that means for Denver fans is, damn, like we wish that we didn't have to see the Timberwolves because it's a bad matchup. And it is. The real question is after we destroyed the Suns, is there a matchup that is a bad matchup for us anymore? Like our defense might travel so well, it might be so versatile, and Anthony Edwards is so consistently MVP quality playoff player. It might not matter who we play.
I agree. The only difference I would say would be when it comes to the Celtics. I think the Celtics are for real. Now, obviously, the health of Porzingis is up in the air, which that'll hurt them a lot against us, particularly against guarding our big guys. I know earlier in the season, the time that we beat them, actually, they put Drew Holiday on Cat, and that took him out of the series, or the game, I should say. But how about Karl Anthony Towns, though? And I was listening to No Dunks, which is an NBA podcast. They were saying that was maybe the best game of Karl Anthony Towns' career. Now, I know he's gone for 60. I know he's done other stuff, but I think in a big moment, that might have been the best game of Karl Anthony Towns' career on both ends.
Yeah, I mean, when we're in a blowout, it's hard for me to really pat a guy on the back too hard. But what I like the most about what Karl Anthony Towns is doing is he's making things simple. Yeah, and that's one thing that having this blowout win, I think, is like maybe something that people don't realize how beneficial it is. Because when we were up so much, guys weren't getting sticky fingers. So Karl Anthony Towns wasn't playing hero ball. Anthony Edwards wasn't playing hero ball. It's easier to make that extra pass when you're up 20. You know what I mean? Right. So we kind of got those game reps of us being unselfish and getting other guys involved. And hopefully that can carry over because that's the only way we can win. I think I love Karl Anthony Towns, and he scored 27 points. But I don't like him as a play initiator or like an ISO guy. I think like our number 2 option should always be just ball movement, and wherever the ball gets to, that's where it lands. And a lot of times it's going to be Karl Anthony Towns, and that's great.
Yeah, and if I was watching the Boston Celtics just briefly before this, and they were putting on a 3-point barrage on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that's how they play. They move the ball around, they find the hot hand, and they now obviously sometimes it's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in isolation, but a lot of times it's just whoever has the hot hand. It's just moving the ball around and not being selfish. One other stat that I found, and I found this interesting. Ant and Coach Finch, so it counts for both of them because they both have the same amount of experience. Ant and Coach Finch in the playoffs, actually with the 6 straight wins, have a winning record in the playoffs.
For sure, I believe
9-8, a 52.9 win percentage. You want to know what Flip and KG's winning percentage was in the playoffs?
Let me guess.
Go ahead. Winning percentage.
38%.
Yes, if you round up, yes, 37.5.
Oh, so, I 100% completely guessed that.
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. So KG and Flip, when it combined, 18 for 30, and that includes the run to the playoffs. So
That's what
And
people don't
yeah, go
understand.
ahead.
Like people buy into this fairy tale of, and I love Kevin Garnett. He's amazing. But like this fairy tale of this Kevin Garnett era Timberwolves. And if you're not old enough, like I am, to have actually sat through and watched it, it was super frustrating, a lot of it. Like we
Yeah,
had a lot of like first round just blowouts, like where
yeah.
we really kind of shouldn't have been in the playoffs and we just got stomped. Like it wasn't fun basketball to watch. Like it wasn't this storybook golden years. It was one run that has already been matched and surpassed by this team this year, to be honest with you.
I mean,
With
to be fair, they got to finish it.
I
They
know,
got
but
to
like
finish it off. But
sometimes what happens at the end isn't the whole story. Like what we did this year by running the West the entire season, by dominating defensively the entire season, being consistent, is way more impressive than what I remember from the Wolves run. But yeah, let's finish it off with that big gold basketball, and then it's for sure stamped in as the best season.
God, that would be amazing. I'm telling you right now, if we go all the way, we are live streaming at the parade.
I'm
I
all
don't know.
for
I
it.
don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna make that happen somehow. We are gonna have a booth at the parade, and it's gonna be like, those local access TV stations where they like send two people out to the parade. Well, we'll
Right.
be at the parade, and we'll be talking to people. It'll be a blast.
I'm all
Um,
for it.
yeah, I'm so excited. Now, what do you think the significance of Reggie Jackson, who got hurt and unknown if he's going to play? Do you think that'll play a big in this series, or not that much? Do you think we got him rattled so much that it won't even matter?
I think the latter. I think they're rattled so much that it might not matter, but he is really kind of their only quality scoring option at all after, like off the dribble
Right.
after Murray and Jokic. So I think that's huge. I mean, that dude can get inferno hot for little stretches. And he's been playing well the last couple of seasons after like, a decade of really mediocre play. So yeah, I think that's important. I'll take any advantage we can get. This is do or die time.
It's interesting because I think last series they played a lot more of Peyton Watson, but
He's
we
tough.
haven't seen them that as much. He only played 9 minutes last night, and obviously a lot of that was towards the end of the game where Zeke Naji was out there. We're probably not going
Yeah,
to see much of him.
no,
Although I will say
Minnesota's own.
Minnesota's own Zeke Naji, yeah. Hopkins High School, Zeke Naji. But it's actually interesting because when we saw, and I wonder if Denver will do this just to play a little bigger. When in the Sun series, towards like the middle of game 3, we started seeing Frank Vogel kind of throw stuff at the wall, and we saw a little bit of the likes of Bol
Okay.
Bol. We saw him throwing in there. I wonder if, you know, desperate times call for desperate measures. I wonder if Braun's going to get a little more run. So basically my question, do you think the bench shortens up for the Nuggets, or do you think that they 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 try a couple things and try to see what sticks?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if they have very many options. That's the thing because
That's true, yeah.
they're they're kind of strapped out with those top heavy contracts and their starters. Um, and that's it's kind of what stinks about giving big money to a guy like Aaron Gordon, who I like, but like if he's not a consistent scorer, and your scores aren't there, scores cost money. So like your bench, you lose that opportunity off your bench. So they're gonna scrap at whatever they can, but I don't think they've got an option. I mean, I think we've got them wrapped. I mean, I just don't see how they can come out of it. They're completely shook.
I think they might win one game. I could see them winning one game,
Maybe.
but I would love to close it out. Considering I have tickets to game 3 and 4, I would love to close it out in Minnesota. That place is going to be rocking. That
It's gonna
place
be
is going to
awesome.
be in fuego, particularly the fact that think about it, the last 4 playoff games have been on the road. We haven't been
Yeah,
home since game 2. That,
and it's been like 2 weeks.
yeah, man, I don't know. Like I bought a seat. I don't know if I'm going to use it the entire time.
I hope
I don't.
not.
I don't think I will. Like, I know you stand for the first point, but I think I might stand the whole time. Could you imagine if we close it out at home and go 8-0 and against the Suns and the Denver Nuggets, against Kevin Durant, Booker, Beal, and then against the defending champions, Jokic and Murray?
And there's
God,
something I want to get off my chest about that. Like,
go ahead.
everyone is trying, obviously, everyone's now on the Timberwolves bandwagon, but before that, they were trying to downplay us after we beat them in game one, saying, well, Murray's not 100% and this and that. Listen, everybody's dinged up, which is another thing everyone likes to say is everyone's hurt. But wasn't Murray just like tomahawk dunking on LeBron? And people were saying like LeBron's washed because Murray's having these huge fourth quarters just like last week and having these big explosive dunks. So you're telling me in the week of rest that he got after playing the Lakers in game one versus us, he got more injured? Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, if he's putting up, 20 points in the fourth quarter to win the game versus the Lakers, he's fine. Like,
Right.
we're beating him because our defense is absolutely choking him out.
Yes.
It's not a matter of his calf being hurt. It's a matter of that we're just absolutely taking him out of the game. So that sort of, I hate when people try to make excuses. Like, no, we're just whooping that tail is what's happening.
I agree. Yeah, we are making him. He's doing all the same things he usually does. He's just being frustrated. And I was thinking about it. If I had to play against that defense, I'd be frustrated as well. I mean, just hounding. There were several possessions where there were two guys completely clouding Murray, and he had to pivot through it and barely got through it. And then by the end of it, there were 2 seconds left in the shot clock, and they either got a 24 second violation, or they had to throw up something bad. I mean, that defense in the first half, and that's the thing. I have no reason to believe that the Wolves are not going to do that again on Friday.
Well, the two huge things that I think strategically I loved, Chris Finch, who is the coach of the year, I don't care that he didn't get it, but to pressure these guys full court 100% of the time is so smart because they run off ball movement. And if you're making 6-7 passes a possession, you need time for cuts. You need guys to come through. You need time. I mean, you're running a lot of play clock. So if by the time you get into your action, you're 10, 15 seconds already burnt off of the play clock, the shot clock, you don't have time to get into your flow. Like, that sort of speeding them up has been great. And then when we were in game one, they had a little comeback when we had my favorite lineup. That's Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Nas, and Gobert. That lineup is awesome, but it doesn't really have a point guard. And they were kind of pressuring Na, and he had a couple bad turnovers because he's not a true point guard. So I saw what we did to kind of counter that this week is we put in another guard, and we had Connolly, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Edwards was out. So like having another guy bring the ball up eliminated their ball pressure. So just those little tricks inside the game to steal possessions and to make the other team's flow not work is amazing, and just showing what a coach Chris Finch is.
Oh yeah. I mean, he has been everything and more think about where the Wolves were when he took over as coach. I mean, a young Anthony Edwards, don't know what he's going to be yet. Totally had to develop him and turn him into a star. Now, I'm not saying, I should rephrase that. I don't think that Chris Finch turned Anthony Edwards into a star. I think the raw talent has been there the entire time, but I don't think he hurt that process at all.
He empowered it.
I think he empowered it. I think he accelerated it.
Yes, for sure. And I think everybody that becomes a star needs that. I mean, there's people around them that help them get there. It's not all, done by themselves. Would he have got there? Yeah, maybe, but not at 22. Like what this guy is doing right now. Another huge reason for the Gobert trade is you're having this 22-year-old player play meaningful minutes again. like every year of his career, he's been in the playoffs playing meaningful minutes on a big stage. That's when you grow. And he's growing into just an icon of the NBA.
So let's turn the tables a little bit. Our last topic today.
Yeah.
Big announcement today. Rudy Gobert, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Only the third in NBA history to get. Can you name the other two?
I can.
Okay.
I saw it. It's Mutombo and Ben Wallace.
Ben Wallace, yeah. But man, congratulations! What a week for Rudy. What a week, or what a 2 days for Rudy. Birth of his first child. Obviously misses the game. Oh, by the way, those who say, "Oh man, he missed a playoff game for the birth of his child," can F right off. Like,
well, let's be honest. He was trying to get back. Like,
yeah, he was trying.
He was on an airplane. The airplane got turned down because of weather. They tried again. Yeah, they tried again, and they had to come back. Like, so it wasn't even that he wasn't trying. Like, he even tried to. So, like, I don't even want to hear it.
I wouldn't even be mad if he didn't try. Like,
right.
Like, it's the birth of your child. Like,
yeah.
Rudy, let's be honest. Rudy has had what? 80 playoff, and I'm not saying they're not important, but Rudy has had 80 playoff games in his life. How many births of child has he had?
Not 80.
Probably one.
Yeah. But no, it was great to see, and I think it's well deserved. And another thing that people are a little off on is when they're like, well, look at how good defensively they did without Rudy. And Finch pointed it out in the presser after the game, which I think is missed, is what Rudy brought to this team is the ability for them to lock in and play defense like that. Like, just that mindset. And like how we said, Finch gave Anthony Edwards the ability to become great. Like, Rudy has challenged them all to step up and be that type of defensive team.
Yeah.
Like, that team wasn't going to be like that without Rudy's presence and influence over the last 2 years. Like, we would have never been able to do that. So it's even more a testament to what he's done. Is not even when he's on the court, he influenced the entire franchise to dominate the champions. I mean, it was staggering.
And to the people, I know there was some first base votes for Victor Wembanyama. And yes, the block,
it should have been.
The block stats are more sexy. I will agree. There were games where he had like 10 blocks. But I go back to, and I know it's not the most valuable player of the year award, but I go back to how it affects winning. Like, sure. How many games did the Spurs win this year? What, 22, 23, maybe, if that?
Not very many.
I mean, okay, maybe you put Victor Wembanyama on this team, and maybe he has more of an impact. But like you said, it's the intangible things. It's the things. It's the leadership. It's the how many times have we seen, and I bring it up every podcast, a player go through the lane of the opposing, like a small guard go through the lane of the opposing, goes through our lane, and they see Rudy and they're like, nope, and they pass it out.
Right.
More times than not. And when they try, they get blocked.
Wemby's great. He has the same effect, and by no means am I going to say he's not amazing. He'll probably be defensive player of the year 5 times in a row.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he'll probably win more than Gobert, but right now.
Yeah, right now, what Gobert's impact was more important, and that's okay. That's not saying Wemby's not great. He's going to be great. And, more power to him. But, yeah, they did it right. Rudy Gobert should have won it, and Victor Wembanyama should have had some first-place votes, to be honest. Like, if he wouldn't have got any, that wouldn't have been right either, because it was a tough race. I mean, he's a tough guy to deal with.
Oh, yeah. No, don't get me wrong. Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Edwards are on the trajectory to be the face of the NBA very soon. And what's crazy about it is they're both two-way players. They both play both sides of the ball. And I should answer a question here from Chris. Will he be good for game 3? Oh, yeah. Barring him like slipping on a banana peel, yes, Rudy Gobert will be good for game 3. Absolutely. Like we said, he was trying to make it to game 2 in Denver. He was on a charter flight to try to make it to game 2, and he couldn't.
Turns out there's a there's a once in a lifetime storm, I guess, right now settling right below Denver area, like in New Mexico, where it's like the driest air in like 100 years, and then the wettest air is over in Texas, and there's going to be like this crazy clash of high winds and tornadoes over the next. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be once in a lifetime storm. So yeah, he ran into that. He couldn't quite make it. You know,
Even God is trying to keep Denver. Maybe
yeah.
Even God is trying to keep this series from being a sweep, and he couldn't do
The
it.
ghost of David Stern. The ghost of
Yeah.
David Stern's trying to extend it for television rights.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, one more question before we head out.
Right.
Anything different for game 3, or just keep doing what we're doing?
I think we're going to just pick up full court. And I think what I'm going to look forward in game 3 is we need another bench guy to just kind of get warming up a little bit to feel more comfortable. I want to see Nas continue his comfort level because he looked bad kind of in the Suns, and he's starting to look better. I want to see him give me 20, 22, because he's going to need to do that if we're gonna raise a championship banner.
I agree, and I think just consistency all around. Like, keep up the defensive intensity, yes, but offensively, we need to be a little better. Mike Conley didn't have a great game either. Keep up the aggressive Conley, and I think we're going to be A-okay. And this is the Running with the Wolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. Chris, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Let's keep this undefeated streak.
Absolutely, and hopefully next week we can talk about who we're playing next. Actually we won't know, but we can talk about who we want to play next between the Mavs and the Thunder. So this is the Running with the Wolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating and comment on the Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. And as always, go Wolves.